So Max Igan got away from Australia to Mexico, where he's safe with the dollar vigilante. And I wanted to just do this video on exactly why he's doing this. So in October, I've got my notes here. It's October the 14th. So we're on October 28th. So we're talking about 14 days ago. The Australian government, who apparently, according to Max Igan, have got 21 standing orders for paedophilia, which have been suppressed for 99 years. They issued the Criminal Law Unlawful Consortium Consorting and Prohibition Insignia Bill 2021. What that basically means, very quickly, is that if you have a tattoo, or you display insignia, or you've got a certain type of clothing, and the police decide, whoever tells them how to decide is another question, that you belong to a criminal gang or a pedophile group or something that they don't like, they've got the right to arrest you, or they've got the right to get your information. And I want to go into this in a bit. So it says here, the synopsis: the purpose of the bill is to make consorting unlawful between certain offenders and provide for the identification of organizations for the purpose of this act. So an offender, what is an offender? Well, if you've got somebody that offends, then it means that they do something against someone else, but they could offend against the policy and the agenda of the government. So if you're in the correct, but you are offended by the government, and then you wish to make an offense to defend yourself, then you become an offender, and therefore you can be punished. So it's not to do, the problem is who decides what the offense is, because the offense is arbitrary. Who decides what an insignia is? What is an insignia? A insignia is an image. So what you're doing is you're basically saying that if you've got a particular image on you, it's banned. How can you ban an image? How can you ban a picture? How can you ban a plant? This is just about control. It's about, I've decided that this image offends me, therefore you are an offender and you can be punished. There's no objective law here, because you got to understand that things are done objectively and subjectively. The objective law, I think it's called the a priori argument and the a posteriori argument, I believe, is between a subjective and an objective truth. Okay, so an objective truth, theologically or philosophically, is something which is outside the realms of humans. You might want to say 1 + 1 could be an objective truth, but it's only objective within the local laws of the universe that you live in. So in a three-dimensional universe, then 2 + 2 does equal 4. But if you went to a fifth-dimensional universe, would the same laws of physics still apply? So is maths subjective or is maths objective? And so when you say that an insignia is bad or wrong, the people that are saying that that's wrong are the people that are in power. But it's basically just a manifestation of their ideology, what's right and wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean that objectively it is right or wrong. It's just a subjective, emotional thing. And this is the problem. At school, we're being trained to not look at facts, but to look at emotions. So emotions are now more important than facts. It's not important whether what he's done is right or wrong. It depends that my emotions have been offended. If I'm offended by him, therefore he has to stop what he's doing, because he's coming into my personal space. And that's how the education for the young people is being built up at the moment, with safe zones. And then you have the law which comes in to allow the manifestation and the procreation and the assimilation of those ideologies into society. So basically they create the law and they put it in school, and then as those children grow up, they then use the law, or they see sense in the law, and they feel that it's justifiable. And prohibit displays in public places of insignia and identified organizations. So what that means is that if you've got a Nazi symbol, so for instance, I think in Germany the Nazi symbol is banned. Okay, that's fine. You've banned the Nazi symbol. But what happens when what happens if you have a government that comes in and is anti-gay? If you've got the LGBTQQ+2, whatever it is, then that becomes an offensive symbol. If you look at the guys in Africa, where they think homosexuality is some sort of illness and should be banned, anyone that has this type of insignia can therefore be arrested, because it's going against the public, or what the government has decided is the public general narrative. And provide for the issue of dispersal notices to members of organisations to make any consorting contrary to those notices unlawful. So it becomes unlawful. It's against the law to have an image which offends the police, and the police. It's up to the discretion of the police to decide what offends them or not. And this is terrible, because you could say, oh, you're wearing a peace sign, that offends me. You're wearing a biker sign, that offends me. You're wearing this sign, that offends me. And now, if you offend me as the police officer, you've now broken the law. So it is now an offence to offend somebody. It is now an offence to offend. You need to offend people, all right? You need to have the capacity to offend people. That's what comedy was about. Comedy was about exercising the right to offend people. And now you've got Chappelle, you've got what's his name, Joe Rogan, who just don't want to do comedy, because they just say, well, it's just too difficult now. It's just too difficult, because the backlash that you're getting is beyond. Well, the backlash that you're getting is ruining people's career. And provide for police powers relating to unlawful consorting insignia of identified organisations, and make consequential and other amendments to the Community Protection Offender Reporting Act 2004 and the Criminal Code. Basically, if you belong to an organisation that the government doesn't like, the government has a right to punish you. So if you belong to anything against the government, if you belong to anti-vaxxer, if you belong to a fascist movement, you no longer have the right to express what you believe in public through insignia. Everything has to now be private in case you offend someone. Okay, so going on, if I just click the page. So there's quite a lot here to get through. So I made some notes. The bill will disrupt and restrict communication networking between offenders. Okay, but who are the offenders? If we're going into an agenda where basically what's going to happen is food shortages, water shortages, taking away money, going on to technology. So if you say, look, I don't want to go near technology, I don't want to go near the smart city, I want to live with nature, I want to be a shaman, I want to live with plants, and you have a symbol or a sign of a tree which says, I love nature, no to radiation, and that offends the government can now ask you for your information and punish you. And if you then become an offender, and then there's other people that also believe in the same things that you believe in, then you will also be punished. So this is a thought crime, because an insignia is basically a manifestation of your thought. So if they can read the thought on your clothes, then you can offend. So the next step is just to be able to read the mind. And if they can get a machine that can read the mind, and they realize that you've got offending thoughts, yeah, then you can be punished. At the moment, it's an insignia, but the insignia is just a manifestation of a thought. So obviously, you want to get the source of the problem. I mean, if you're in the police, you don't want to be dealing with the flowers, you want to be dealing with the roots. So in order to get to the root of the problem, you've got to get to someone's mind. So you need to have a machine that can see into someone's mind. And so if you hook everyone up to the internet and you get rid of privacy, then people have access to your mind. They can read your thoughts. And there's already machines to do that anyway. All they need is the permission. All they need is the permission. And all they need is to lure the man into a position where he lets his privacy go. Criminalize the display of insignia of identified criminal organizations, so that a government will decide who they are, and disrupt the ability of members of identified organizations to gather in public places. I believe Hitler banned other parties. He allowed the Catholic Centre Party, whose president was von Papen, but I think that he got rid of other parties that came up against him. So if you have a political party in Australia that's going to come up against the ruling party, they can get rid of that. Okay, because it's an organisation, and the organisation might go against what they believe. The bill also introduces a reform targeting criminal organisations and their members. Okay, so take out criminal organisations, just put in people that have different ideas or thoughts. Okay, a prohibited signature scheme will display the display of insignia or identified organisations. what they're saying is they're going to try and bring it in under the child sex offenders. Okay. You know, whenever you want to introduce a bill, you know, you've got to have a really big reason. Pedophilia, yeah, pedophilia. That's the problem. Pedophilia. We know that our government's full of pedophiles. There's 21 of us here, but you know, it doesn't matter what we do. It matters what you do. You know, if we poke around, that's fine. But if you poke around in the wrong places, that's not good. So, you know, we're going to introduce this not for vaccinations. Oh, no, 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 no. No, this is to protect children, and we all want to protect children. I mean, we all agree on one thing, don't we? And that's the protection of children. So let's just go through the bill to protect all children. Oh, and also, if you happen to disagree with the vaccination, it also comes under that legislation for us to come and get you. Okay, but you didn't notice that because you were on Netflix and Pornhub, weren't you? So when it says to consort, yeah, consort means to be with another person. What does it mean? So if you're consorting with someone, if you've got an insignia and you consort with someone, now it sounds like the school playground, doesn't it, really? Because really the government's basically the school for grown-ups. So consort with another person means to seek or accept the company of another person, okay? So what does that mean if you accept the company? I mean, if someone stands like a meter from you, are you accepting their company? At what distance do you not accept their company? You know, if you're in a crowd, are you accepting their company or not? So if you're in a crowd with others, how do you say that you're not in the company of them if you've been forced? To be in the company of the other person, what does that mean? Or to communicate directly or indirectly, what does that mean? To say go away, hello? And with other persons by any means. So that means electronics, but it also means, you know, WhatsApp and social media. So now that has to be regulated. The expression by any means includes posts, fax, email, or any other form of electronic communication. Consorting in any way mentioned in the bill can occur within or outside of Western Australia. So therefore now it's a global problem. Yeah. So Max Igan, okay, now if he consorts, so his insignia, the Crow House, if people wear that, okay, which they do in public, the police can now arrest you for wearing a Crow House t-shirt. And they can, and you know, Max is also breaking the law, isn't he? Or anyone that watches Max Igan's videos is breaking the law because they're obviously consorting. If you email him, if you write a message in the post, if you do anything, you're consorting. So this is real fascism, including outside of Australia. Well, in a global world, Australia will be the world. Again, it goes on to the child sex offences, but this isn't for child sex offence. This is for something very different. Subclause 1. So this is 19, subclause 1. Provides that a police officer who suspects on reasonable grounds. What's that? The way you stand, the clothes that you're wearing. How is that reasonable? It says don't judge a book by its cover, but now the police are being asked to judge books by its cover. You're asking to judge someone by their clothes. That someone is a person of whom an unlawful consorting notice must be served under clause 11 may do any of the following: require the person to stop, to give personal details, accompany the officer to a police station, require the person to remain at the police station, but no longer than 2 hours, serve the notice on the person, and if it's served, already confirm it. So you can be stopped, you can be taken to the police station if you're wearing the wrong clothes, or you got a tattoo, or basically if the police don't like you, if the police, what sort of reasonable grounds can you have to judge someone on their clothes? So the maximum imprisonment is 12 months or 12,000 Australian dollars. Don't ask me how much that is. At the moment, you know, lots of people will be happy saying, yeah, you know, you can't display the Nazi sign, but it's going to go from the Nazi sign to other signs. You want to attack the Nazis. I don't have any time for Nazis, but you want to attack them. But your insignias soon will be attacked as well. You'll be in the same basket as the Nazis if you don't stand up. 5, no compensation. Subclause 1 provides that the provisions of this part do not entitle any person to compensation. So they can molest you. What it means is that the police can molest you because they don't like you, and there's nothing that you can do about it.